Now, if logical positivism is true, it is a major problem for Christianity. Hey, I'm Sean, and welcome to Believing Thinkers, where we are loving God with all our minds. Today on Believing Thinkers, we're going to be discussing logical positivism. Now, if logical positivism is true, it is a major problem for Christianity. So what is logical positivism? Let's take a simple definition. In order for statements to be meaningful, they must be capable, in principle, of being empirically verified. Now, how did this all come about? Well, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, there was a boom of scientific discoveries. And what happened is this brought about a change for philosophy. Father of logical positivism was a man by the name of Ernst Mach. Now, Mach influenced a man by the name of Ludwig Wittgenstein, a very famous philosopher, and he influenced what I call the London Circle. That's not really a thing, that's a term of my creation, with men such as a.j.ayer, which we're going to be talking about in just a moment, Bertrand Russell, as well as Alfred North Whitehead. So a.j.ayer is the one we want to really focus on because of his work pushed the movement and propelled it into what it is today. So a.j.ayer came up with what was known as the principle of verification. We say that a sentence is factually significant to any given person if and only if they know how to verify the proposition which it purports to express. That is, he or she knows what observations would lead them under certain conditions to accept the proposition as being true or reject it as being false. Now notice what Ayer says. It's only significant if and only if the person knows how to verify the proposition which it purports to express. That is encapsulated in that shorter definition I gave you guys at the beginning. In order for a statement to be meaningful, they must be capable in principle of being empirically verified. That's what he means by empirical. Scientifically verifiable. Now, this is a huge problem for Christians. Why? Well, what Ayer wanted to do with this is take statements such as God exists and say this is absolutely meaningless because we can't empirically verify that God exists. You see, this kind of thinking is still alive in the YouTube atheist community. Although ironically, most philosophers have long since abandoned the position, including the very men who proposed it. The good news is, we can defeat logical positivism. What are the problems with it? It was quickly realized that these principles were too restrictive, render large portions of the English language as meaningless, including large portions of scientific statements, which was the whole point in the first place. So we can see that it was very problematic. But moreover, the biggest problem for it is it was quickly discovered to be self-referentially incoherent. A simpler way of saying this is it was self-defeating. It turns out it's just nonsense itself. How so, you may be wondering? Well, think about it. I'm going to give you the shorter definition here, and listen again if you haven't caught this already. In order for statements to be meaningful, they must be capable in principle of being empirically verified. This statement itself is a statement, right? Is it capable of being empirically verified? No. So it in itself is meaningless because we can't verify it scientifically. So as it turns out, it's just utter nonsense. So for those of you holding this, give it up, guys. It's been abandoned. It's been let go. It is literally utter nonsense itself under its own definition. It's logically incoherent, guys. Now you may think, well, I don't hear this being proposed too much these days on YouTube, Sean, so what do you mean? Well, what you will hear are statements that have been spun out of this way of thinking. So let me give you some examples. Only what is testable by science can be true. You see, that statement is just a reworking of this original concept. It's still logical positivism, and ironically, it itself can't be tested by the science. Tested by the sciences, rather. So, what does that mean? Well, it means it can't be true either. So once again, it's self-defeating. If you want to know how to measure a statement or determine whether or not it's self-defeating, check out this video. It is on our sister channel, Mixed Martial Apologetics, and it will teach you all about how to examine statements to see if they're self-defeating. Now, you may also hear statements such as, you cannot talk about God, or talking about God is meaningless. These statements directly came out of a.j.ayer's principle of verification. And so once again, because they stem from the same sort of thinking, they're meaningless too. So you don't have to worry about them. So listen, atheists, if you're the kind of person that's making these statements, they're meaningless in themselves by their own principle. And they just don't do anything. Find better ways to approach Christianity and its claims than making irrational claims yourself. Alright guys, hopefully this has been helpful. I've enjoyed it. We love y'all. Take care and God bless. This is a test of your emergency broadcast system. If this were an actual emergency and you saw my face on the screen, you should run and scream in absolute terror and panic because every other qualified person is dead. Sorry, I can't be more comforting than that. Yeah, that's just the truth. We're done. That's it. I'm out of here. I give up.